Next up, for growers looking for a way to control glyphosate-resistant weeds, several Dicamba products offer a cost-effective solution to do just that. But if applied incorrectly or under the wrong conditions, spray drift can occur. That could result in neighboring fields suffering Dicamba injury, with those property owners rarely being compensated for their losses. UNL agricultural law professor Terry Centner has been researching the topic of Dicamba injury compensation and joined me on the show to discuss how it might work and why it's needed.
Well, compensation is the issue. Obviously, if your property is injured, you want to be compensated. Under federal law and under state pesticide law, no compensation results. Instead, you have to use tort litigation. In other words, you have to file a lawsuit.
Let's talk about Dicamba compensation. What would a program like that look like to you?
Well, I feel that a compensation program is an alternative for this issue, that we'd have a state government, the agency in charge of pesticides, put together a program whereby all purchasers of Dicamba products would pay a fee on the product, and the monies from these fees would go into a compensation fund. And then if a property owner was injured, the property owner would have samples of their plants tested to see if there's a Dicamba residue on the plants. And if they are, they could file a claim.
Okay, so let's say that I am a property owner who feels that my plants were damaged by Dicamba applications. What would I do? What's my recourse?
Okay, so after you have proof that there's damage from Dicamba, you would file the claim, and you would have to follow this up with proof of damages, that you lost yields or you lost the benefits of plants, whatever it might be. And so you would have to prove damages. So all of this would be on the claimant, the person filing the claim, and they would pay for all those expenses. Once they had submitted damages, then the state agency would go and calculate if the damages made sense, if they were right, if they'd used data that made a lot of sense, and they would determine whether or not how much of the claim should be paid.
You know, one thing with a compensation program like this, people are going to say, who's going to pay for this? And you know, you would think maybe there would be potential issues with that. What do you say to that?
Well, the payment would be from the fees on Dicamba products. So what we're trying to do is persons that want to use a dangerous pesticide should pay for the damages, rather than have innocent property owners next door suffering injuries that they aren't paid for. So the Dicamba producers won't like this idea of a program. I mean, they're using Dicamba for profits, and this will eat into their profits. However, the neighbors that are adversely affected will like the program because their property rights are being protected. And so in my mind, it's a question of property rights. If you own property, do you have the right to have it safe from your neighbor's pesticides? And I think the fair answer is yes, it should be safe.
And what has been the farmers' reaction to this? What do they say, and how difficult would it be to implement something of this magnitude for all the parties involved?
Well, it would be difficult. It's a major undertaking to put together this program. The state would have to do it. There would have to be a board of directors over the program. There would have to be personnel hired to implement the program. This would be costly, and obviously this would diminish the returns for users of Dicamba. At the same time, it does try to get at an equitable problem, a fairness problem, whereby we have a lot of property owners that are suffering damages and not being paid for those damages.